Hi everyone, this is Rosemary Putzalan. I am the Technology Coordinator from Ability Tools. And welcome to the Finding Solutions to Farm Safely and Independently with the Department of Rehab. We have 3 presenters. We will be providing or highlighting some examples of how the collaboration between the Department of Rehab, CalAgrAbility, as well as Ability Tools enabled farmers and farm workers to continue to work successfully in agriculture. On this title slide, we have 3 logos. Left logo is the Department of Rehab. Second logo is the CalAgrAbility, and the third logo is the Ability Tools. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the CalAgrAbility presenter, Esmeralda Maldujana, who will be giving a brief presentation about the CalAgrAbility project.
Thank you, Rosemary. This is Esmeralda Maldujana with the California AgrAbility. The program is currently being directed by Dr. Fadi Fatala, and we're going to do just a brief overview of what AgrAbility is. So there are national and state programs and projects that are sponsored through the USDA and NISA. And the vision of AgrAbility is to enhance the quality of life for farmers, ranchers, and other agricultural workers with disabilities. On this slide, we have a map of the United States with some of the current states that have active AgrAbility programs in yellow. This is constantly changing because we do run on 4-year grants, and they're not all running at the same time. So like, let's say California has an award that started last year. Well, Utah might have an award that started 2 years ago. So this number is constantly changing. There is one national program at Purdue University, and we run with collaborative partnerships between land-grant universities. In our case, we are partnered with UC Davis, and we are also partnered with different nonprofit disability service organizations. Our current partner is Ability Tools. So again, to recap on the mission of CalAgrAbility, it is to assist farmers, workers, and families to succeed in farming despite disabilities. The program in California has been running since 2002. Some of our objectives are to offer technical assistance, education, have referrals, advocacy. We do farm site assessments, and we also do worksite and task restructuring. We do a lot of education and recommendations on different assistive technologies, and also we also recommend equipment modifications. And we also do training for rehab and medical professionals to understand that there is a possibility to continue farming despite a disability, despite a chronic illness. So 2 of our main focuses for CalAgrAbility are assistive technology and ergonomics. We talk to our consumers about assistive technology, and basically what it is equipment that enhances the ability of people to be more efficient and successful. How we explain it to our consumers is using a tool. It can be a pair of glasses, it can be a wheelchair, and just because the phrase has technology, it doesn't mean that it is something like a computer. In fact, most assistive technologies are low-tech. Like I said, it can be something that's like glasses, an ergonomic shovel. And we also talk to them about ergonomics. And basically how we describe ergonomics to them is changing the way they are doing things. And this is to prevent secondary injury and also to help them be help them reduce fatigue as much as possible. And on the slide, we have some pictures of some assistive technologies. We have some ergonomic tools and an ergonomic shovel on there. Like I said, we are partnered with Ability Tools, and although Ability Tools is our partner, we have other strong collaborations with many other agencies. 2 of our stronger collaborations are with Arthritis Foundation and DOR. In the case of this webinar, we really want to showcase the collaboration that we're having with Ability Tools and DOR, because through AgrAbility, we are helping farmers, farm workers, and their families have assistive technology both in their home and before their home. We're using ability tool support to help us with assistive technologies such as sunglasses that can go over glasses, or ramps, and also really advocating for our consumers to use their lending library. And with DOR, we have started to collaborate more on helping farmers and farm workers get assistive technologies for their farms, and also to be able to get job training in something that has to do with production agriculture. So why do we focus on farmers and farm workers? Well, agriculture is one of the 3 most hazardous industries in the United States. Each year there are about 20,000 disabling injuries in California, and there are currently about 77,000 farms in California. On the slide we have pictures of a farm worker picking cilantro and a picture of a farmer with her goats. And these are, the farmer is actually one of our old consumers. To get more information, more in depth about AgrAbility, I would really recommend that you go over to Ability Tools Webinar Training Library and look for our webinar, which we did maybe about a year ago, and we titled it California AgrAbility, Finding Solutions for California Agricultural Communities. So that webinar goes really in depth on what CalAgrAbility does. And now I'm going to turn it over to Rosemary.
Thank you, Esmeralda. Just a little bit about the Ability Tools. Formerly, the AT Network is a California's Assistive Technology Act program, and we provide a variety of services for Californians with disabilities of all ages. This includes our AT Exchange, which I will go over very quickly on the next few slides. We have device lending libraries throughout the state of California. We have financial loan program for AT, information and referral, as well as reuse program in affiliation with organizational partners. We basically connect Californians with disabilities to AT devices, tools, and services to make their life easier. On this slide, I have a screenshot of the AT Exchange website. It is a free service of the Ability Tools. You can find new and used low and high-tech devices for people with disabilities, and that includes like magnifiers, mobility devices, hardware and software. You can borrow devices to try for 30 days. You can find used devices for free or low cost. You can also sell used devices, and we also have free items to give away, just depending on which center has available for free for giveaway. You can also place want ads for devices that you need. Or to go to the AT Exchange website, it is exchange.abilitytools.org. The device lending libraries, I have a map of the California, and we have device lending libraries in the northern and southern California. And in Northern California, we have Chico, Hayward, Grass Valley, Nevada City, Sacramento, Salinas, San Francisco, San Jose, San Luis Obispo. And in Southern California, we have Downey, San Bernardino, San Diego, and Santa Ana. These locations, they do, again, have short-term devices where you can borrow for 30 days. And some device lending libraries may not have some gardening tools, but they can connect you to another device lending library that have the gardening tools available. On this slide, I have several images of available gardening devices to try. The left image is the gardener's tractor scoop with the bucket basket holder. This lets you work from a seated position to prevent from bending down, or if you need to be able to pick things up. The second image is the Easy Grip add-on handle, and this is used to convert any conventional inline tools into an ergonomic grip gardening tool. These handles will fit up to 1.5-inch in diameter, and they're easily fitted using steel clamps. Last image is the fold-away garden kneeler and seat. This is to help from back pain, which is caused by stooping and bending, and also used for prevent from having sore knees from kneeling directly on the ground. We have is the lend-a-hand universal assistive device, kind of like that straps around your forearms, and you can insert garden tool that has a handle into a holder so you're not putting more weight on your wrist. The second image is the foxtail sliding faucet handle. It's kind of like a long handle that you can use to cover the standard faucet that you can use to turn left to right. The third one is the ergonomic universal adjustable handle, a handle where you can use both your hands to use to, like say for example, if you have a rake or a shovel, you can use your stronger hand to basically put it on the grip to push or pull. These are just some of the examples that are available for gardening tools that you can try. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jose, who's the Senior Vocational Rehab Counselor / Service Coordinator from the Department of Rehab, and he'll cover majority of the presentation.
Thank you. Hi. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. My name is Jose Garcia with the Department of Rehabilitation. As was stated before, I am a Senior Vocational Rehabilitation Counselor, SVRC, also a Service Coordinator out of the Woodland office. My number, if you have any questions, come up with something maybe later on, you feel free to call me. My number is 530-668-6824. I didn't put my email address, but my email address is fairly simple. It's jose.e.garcia@dor.ca.gov. What I'm going to be going through is the process somebody goes through in order to become eligible for DOR services, and also the services we offer. Not every service that we offer will kind of involve what will benefit farm workers or farm laborers, but I will explain the services that we offer, the process, and kind of try to go into how we would benefit a person suffering from a disability who happens to be a farmer or a farm laborer or doing any type of work related to farm workers. Okay. Also, if you have any questions while I am speaking, feel free to type it out, interrupt me. I do not mind. Okay. First slide. What is the Department of Rehabilitation, or DOR as I'll probably be referring it to? Our mission statement says that California commits to achieving an employment rate for people with disabilities that is in parity with that of the general population by doing two things: removing barriers to work and providing needed services, supports, and incentives to maximize individual economic growth and development. A quick note is we also help people with disabilities keep their jobs with services that we provide. So a person doesn't necessarily have to be unemployed to benefit from our services. Removing barriers to work. Now, what does this mean? Barriers can mean different things. So our clients might have physical limitations. They might have limitations when it comes to comprehension. Learning disabilities is an example. Some of our clients have social issues that prevent them from working in large crowds or people in general. We have numerous clients who do not like to work around people. In their cases, janitorial work and stuff like that is beneficial. It's something that they want to do because of some sort of phobias that prevent them from working around people and so forth. A quick note is we have no age restriction. They have to be available to work, so they have to be 16 or in certain places maybe 15 and a half to work. As far as older workers, we do not say, okay, at 70 years old you can't go to school. No, they can be of any age as long as they're willing to work and they can work. Okay. Removing barriers to work. What does this mean? Well, at this point it's important to state that each and every case is different from one another. Although each individual case will have the same goal, and that being employment in their field of choice, the way the client and DOR go about achieving that goal will vary. And this is very important because we do have a lot of clients, consumers that talk to each other, go to school together. So it's very important that the clients understand that each case is different, that the services that one has not necessarily the next person will get. We can't stop clients from talking to each other and talking to each other concerning their services, but it's important that they understand that because client number one got a certain kind of service, a certain technology, that doesn't mean that client number two is going to get that automatically. And before we go into services, let's discuss the steps a client takes in order to become part of DOR. There's a picture of a series of steps in the slide here. And it's important to understand that this is a process. The eligibility process does take a while. It can take up to 2 months. Then deciding on what the plan of employment is going to be can take a little bit more time. But we'll go into that as the slides go on. First step is orientation. In the Woodland office, it's the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month at 10 a.m. If you're attending a different office, we have them throughout California, it's important to contact that office to look for the specific times and dates for orientation. I was at the downtown office just yesterday for a meeting, and I noticed that they have it every week. And most offices do. Since we're a branch office, we have them twice a month, as mentioned. Look up your nearest location in the link below. Be advised that you may receive services from any office you wish. The website is www.rehab.cah.gov/location/index.asp. Again, you have my number, you have my email address, you can contact me and I'll be more than happy to give you a direct number for an office near you. Again, one thing, a client does not need to attend an orientation to receive services. It's strongly recommended because they'll get a lot of information during these orientations, but any person can come into any office and request an application, and they do not need to go to orientation. Just keep that in mind. And when I say that you can be receiving services from any office, I have clients that are attending UC Berkeley, who moved to Berkeley, who decided to stay to the Woodland office. I had a client who was in San Diego who decided to stay with the Woodland office. I have clients up and down Sacramento. I always tell the clients, if you're going to move to a different area, it's probably better to go to that office. They'll be better equipped to know about the vendors in that area, the services offered in that area. But in some cases, rather, the clients become attached to their counselor, attached to an office, and they rather work with the office. And I do not mind. It just takes a couple of calls to call that office and say, hey, who's your vendors down there? Who does your assistive technology? Who does your job development down there? And we can help out. Intake usually takes about an hour. This is a meeting between a client and a counselor, and that is used to collect the application, any medical paperwork that the client may have. During the intake, the counselor will ask for a series of questions designed to get to know you and the client's career goals. During this meeting, we will also have paperwork to sign that could include releases of information. So maybe we may discuss your case and plan with other agencies, people, medical facilities, and schools. If the client can get their own medical paperwork describing the disability, that would be best. It would cut a lot of time. If they can't get it for whatever reason, we can go ahead and request it from doctors, clinics, hospitals. I've seen it take as short as two days to get it, as long as 2 months. During that time, we have to wait because this is the eligibility. And so during the eligibility, we have to wait for the medical paperwork in order to make the person eligible. Okay, once we have received the medical paperwork detailing the disability, the client will be found eligible if the disability is a barrier to employment, the client is available for services, meaning they are able to participate. They don't have, maybe we've had people who say, oh, well, I can't really make the meetings during the day because I have to take care of family and so forth. And at that point, they're not available for services. Also, the client has been cleared to work from their doctor. Now, if a person is employed, then we can meet them maybe at their employment and discuss their case. I've gone to people's work. I've gone to people's hometown and met them at the library, at the local restaurant, to do the eligibility paperwork, to do their intake. So that's a possibility as well. If a client does not have medical records, then the Department of Rehabilitation can refer a consumer to a physical assessment if the consumer's complaints of a physical disability, or a psychological assessment if the client feels he or she has a mental or learning disability. Once we get the reports from the assessment, we can work on eligibility determination. The individual plan for employment. Now this is when we work with the client to develop a plan. What are they going to do? This plan is developed between the client and the counselor that will describe the services that will assist in the achievement of the career goal. Information in the IPE may include labor market information on the specific career goal, services that will be provided, vendors that will be used to provide those services, and who will be funding those services. As mentioned before, IPEs will vary from case to case and maybe even look completely different for IPEs that have the same career goal. Now, let me put up a little example of maybe a person who's a farm worker and becomes injured on the job, or maybe they're out skiing, playing soccer, playing something, and they get injured. So when they go back to work, they can't do that job anymore. Their plan for employment will depend on, of course, what they want to do. If there's other jobs available, say at that farm, say the owner, the farmer says, well, you can't be picking asparagus anymore. What if we have you work in the office? Would you mind working in our accounts department? Maybe you want to do the clerical work. Or, well, we have people that operate tractors, that operate heavy machinery, that drive Class A vehicles. Would you be interested in some of that work that's maybe a little less labor intensive? In that person's plan, we can maybe do, let's do the truck driver. Maybe since he was working out in the fields, now he wants to become a truck driver, work for the same farm. We can help them get the Class A license, and therefore he can move into that different job that's less labor intensive and can keep working for that farm. I hope that makes sense. Okay, the services that we offer. Now the services can range depending on the IPE, but some of the more basic services DOR offers are assistance with job placement, assistance with training, interview clothing, work clothing, assistance with transportation reimbursement. For clients who work with AgrAbility, the services also may include assistive technology, which, as you know, can range in scope. I'd like to give an example of one of the clients that we work with here at AgrAbility in Davis. Is a lady by the name of Anna. She has MS, and she was working in the office doing a lot of the accounting, payroll, and those type of duties. And it happened that because of the MS that she had, it got really hot, and it was really uncomfortable for her. So she was on the verge of saying, what, I can't do this type of work anymore. So we got together and we started looking at things that might be able to assist Anna. One of them was a vest, maybe that cooled her down. We ended up purchasing for her, Department of Rehabilitation, a cooler, a kind of a portable air conditioner for her office. That was more than enough to help her out. She was able to keep her job, do her job, and that was one of the services that we offered in order to help her keep her job. So in her case, her IPE was clerical, assistive, administrative assistant, The services that we offered were simply the air conditioner. It was something as simple as that, and we were able to help her keep her job. So some of these plans might be very complex, while others are maybe as simple as ants. Does the client have to be unemployed to obtain services through DOR? We already answered this question. Of course, that's no. A client does not have to be unemployed to obtain services through DOR. If a client is employed, they can obtain services only if their job is in danger because of their disability, or if the job itself is a hazard because of a disability. And we can go back to Anna's example as well. Now, another example that I'd like to mention is a self-employment. Say we have a farmer who owns a small farm and who, for whatever reason, maybe they can't walk very well anymore, and they need to go around to their farm, and they need to be able to inspect their crops or what have you. And they find it difficult to go out and walk around and do that type of work. Well, in that case, it would almost be like a self-employment plan where the person is still owning their farm, but in order to maintain it, they might require services from DOR. Now, this is a very kind of a gray area. Different offices might have different ways of looking at this, but in my case, I would look at it as, let's do a self-employment plan. The services might be limited in scope as maybe a cart, to one of those little golf carts, to help him ride around his fields and his crops. That should be enough to help him, be able to do his job. So, and I can't stress this enough, every office is different. Every office looks at things a little bit differently. Since I grew up here in the Sacramento Valley, I worked around farmers most of my life. My father was a farmer, so I have a kind of an inside, I guess what you can call it, an inside information on what it takes to be a farmer and how important it is for a person who's farmed all their life to maintain that type of job. So to put it, in a more personal way, I have a spot in my heart for farmers and farm laborers, and I'm willing to do more than anything to help them. Unfortunately, in other offices that might not be the case, but still, again, I would love to answer any questions, comments that come up from other offices. I'll do whatever I can to help. Informed choice. Okay, informed choice means it's up to the client to decide what they want their IPE to focus on. The counselor can make suggestions, but ultimately it's the client's choice on what their career goal will be. Of course, the career that the client chooses must have favorable labor market information. Now, on the slide, I have a little picture of a dolphin trainer, a little emblem. That's just a little goofy example that I give during my orientations, that if somebody were to come up and say, hey, I want to become a dolphin trainer, can DOR help me do that? Well, no. Even though that job does exist, I assume it does, we cannot help in that type of field because there probably isn't a favorable market, labor market for that. On the other hand, if a person comes in and says they were a farm worker, a farm laborer, and they got an injured back, and he comes into my office and I tell him, well, you could become a truck driver and work for the same farm. And the client might come back and say, well, honestly, I'd rather work inside and maybe become an accountant working for the farm. At that point, there's positive labor market information for both of those type of jobs. So it really isn't up to the counselor to decide for the client. The client has made the decision. They don't want to be a truck driver. They'd rather work in accounting, so we'll focus on that. Other services we offer: vocational assessment, external situational assessments, personal vocational social adjustment, we'll just say PVSA for that one, on-the-job training, OJTs, job coaching, and ergonomic evaluations. I'll go over each one of them right now. Vocational assessments are needed if the client is not sure what they want to do as far as developing their IPE. During a vocational assessment, the client will work with a job developer to determine what would be the best route for them to take in order to find gainful employment. A good example for this would be, say, our gentleman who got hurt and can't pick the props anymore. If he wasn't too sure about what he wanted to do, say the farmer said, hey, we have positions in the office, we have positions doing heavy machinery, we have positions doing the truck driving, we have positions maybe working with livestock where it's less labor intensive. You have to decide what you want to do and what you want to get trained on. If the farm worker doesn't know, we can do a vocational assessment where they can find out, okay, if you decide to go this route, this is the education you're going to need. You're going to have to go back to school, learn the computer, learn QuickBooks, learn this. If you decide to become a truck driver, you have to go to DMV training. You'll have to learn a stick shift. You'll have to, get your Class A license. That'll involve learning to drive 18-wheelers, with up to 10 shifts. So the client then will be able to get information concerning what it entails to do any one of those jobs, and then they can make an informed choice, an informed decision on which one would be best for them. Maybe they don't want to go back to school, and they're saying, you know what, school's not my thing. Let's do the truck driving. That seems more hands-on. That seems better. Or you know what? Let's just move me into working with livestock. I don't want to go to any type of training. It'll be the client's decision, and they'll have all the information needed to, like I said, make the informed choice. External situational assessment in ESA. This would probably be a little more rare in the case of working with farm workers, but ESAs are used when DOR is unsure whether a consumer is ready for employment. DOR, with the help of a local job development agency, will place the consumer in a job for up to 2 weeks in order to determine if the consumer is job ready. This is more for people that maybe their disability is a little too severe, or maybe their mental health issues are too severe, maybe they haven't found the right combination of medication. It could relate to a farm worker if a farm worker were to say to get injured. This is just an example. Were to get injured in a job-related accident or an accident related to any other type of thing, and while the doctor released the person to work, and the person is willing to go back to work, if the Department of Rehabilitation, or even if the consumer feels that the disability is a little bit too severe, we can do an ESA where we can find them a job for 2 weeks. We'll see if they're able to show up on time. We'll see if they're able to continue the day, to complete the day, 8 hours, 2 hours, whatever the work day may be. And at the end of the ESA, we can get a report saying, Bill was able to make it to work every day. Unfortunately, he was very fatigued by hour 4, so he couldn't make the 8 hours. And at that point, once we get the report, we can make a determination whether the consumer is, in fact, ready to go back to work. In most cases, this is done for people with mental health issues. With physical disabilities, usually the doctors are pretty spot on about letting us know what the restrictions and if they're able to go back to work. Personal vocational social adjustments, PVSAs. PVSAs are used when the consumer needs specific instructions related to common daily activities that he or she might need assistance with. Some examples can be riding the bus, setting up an email account, or instructions on personal hygiene. So if a client comes in and says, hey, I want this type of job, but I've never used a computer. I've never opened an email account, and I know that I'm going to be getting emails. I need to know how to delete, forward, stuff like that. So this is something that really doesn't need to be a training. So we can set up a job developer who does that type of training, and we can do PVSA hours. Say maybe only 8 PVSA hours, because the new position this person is going into requires them to be able to operate a computer. They don't need to make accounts, make spreadsheets. They just need to open and close their email accounts so they can find out what they need to do for the day. So those are some examples of a PVSA. Again, we deal with a lot of people with different types of disabilities. Most of the PVSAs goes to help with people maybe finding out what bus they need to get into, or like I said earlier, personal hygiene. On-the-job training. On-the-job training is a type of contract between a consumer, DOR, and an employer. In an OJT, the employer agrees to hire the DOR consumer for as long as 3 months in order to train the client in the job duties. During this time, DOR will pay some of the consumer's wages. It is understood that if the client is able to learn the duties of the job, that the employer will keep them on after the 3 months. This could actually work out very well for AgrAbility clients, in which they're switching jobs within the farm, or learning new duties within the farm. In this case, the farmer can actually get reimbursed from Department of Rehabilitation while the consumer is learning the new job duties. We will require monthly reports on the progress of the client and how they're doing. And as mentioned before, after 3 months, if the client is doing a good job, then the farmer would agree to keep the employee on. Job coaching. In some cases, the consumer might need additional assistance once the client is employed. A job developer will go to the consumer's employer for a certain number of hours per month for 3 months in order to help the client with their work duties and learning the job. Again, with AgrAbility, this could be something beneficial in case maybe an on-the-job training isn't something that they want to do. A job coaching would mean, say a person, for example, let's go back to our farm worker who got injured, who was picking crops. If his new job or her new job is working in the office, and say for instance the manager, the supervisor is a little bit busy, maybe doesn't have the time to supervise the new employee as long as he or she may want, we can have a job coach go down there and help the new employee with their new job duties. In this case, it would be going to the job site, maybe 3, 4, 5, up to 8 hours a day. It could be per day, per week, and then kind of go over the job duties and say, okay, you know, we have to file these, and then we have to work on these reports. So we have 8 hours. Let's do some filing now. We'll take a break. We'll do some more filing, and then we'll work on these reports. So kind of time management, going over job duties, making sure the job is getting done. So at the end of 3 months, if it's needed for 3 months, then the employee is ready to do the job duties without any assistance. Ergonomic evaluation. Ergonomic evaluations can be done to consumers who may need assistive technology to be able to do their job. An evaluator will go to the consumer's place of work and complete an ergonomic evaluation to determine if the assistive technology will benefit the consumer in doing their job. A report will be completed letting the counselor know what software or hardware will be needed, if any. As was mentioned before, ergonomic evaluations and assistive technology can range in scope. It could be something as simple as eyeglasses, as mentioned before, to something as a new chair to be more comfortable. So ergonomic evaluation, I think, is something that will benefit a lot of our clients. Something like the little picture says, something as simple as body mechanics, teaching a person how to sit in their new job will help them out. But if they maybe need a wireless mouse, a different type of keyboard, in the case of our example that we mentioned before, Anna, she needed an AC unit in her office. These are all examples of ergonomic evaluations, letting us know what the consumer needs in order to do their job a lot better. How do we close a case? Once the consumer has been working in a job related to the IPE goal for 90 days, the case will be closed. Post-employment services are available if the consumer job is in jeopardy. One example of a post-employment service is, say for instance, we have our farmer who was harvesting crops, got injured, and then moved into the office, and he was doing, say, accounting work. Then for whatever reason, the farm owner decided, you know what, I'm going to contract out all my accounting. So Bill, I know you were doing my accounting. Now I'm going to need you to do payroll and doing the scheduling for all my workers. Well, Bill might be, whoa, you know, I did all this training to become an accountant, and now you want me to do something else. I'm stressing out. I don't know if I can do that. Well, we can do post-employment services. He can go back to DOR. We can help him out maybe with a little bit of training, maybe job coaching, maybe an OJT in order to help him transition into his new job duties. Okay, well, at this point, I know I went through a lot of information, like I said. You have my telephone number. 530-668-6824 is the main line. 530-668-6828 is my direct line. Feel free to use any. But if you have any questions as of right now, like I said, I know I went through a lot of information. Feel free to ask any questions, type any questions out, and I'll do my best to answer them right now. Again, I got a question stating if DOR can fund assistive technology for farm equipment. And I believe we can, and that's something that, of course, we would have to do probably an ergonomic evaluation. We'd have to get documentation stating that, yes, this is in fact needed, it would benefit the worker. So, like I said before, ergonomic evaluations in assistive technology is a large scope. And with the proper paperwork, with the proper reports, with the proper evaluations, we can get a lot of this stuff approved. Department of Rehabilitation is really focused on helping people with disabilities maintain their jobs or find jobs. So we'll try to do anything we can in order to assist a client who needs that. I believe it's is there a monetary limit on how much DOR provides to client? Well, that's something that we don't tell the clients, obviously, because we want to see what services they need, and because we are a state-funded program, we try to use the best, or rather the most cost-effective services we can. For example, if somebody comes up and says they want to get automotive training, UTI will do automotive training for $30,000, while American River College in Sacramento will do it for a fraction of that. So we'll always want people to go to their to maybe the most cost-effective. But to answer the question, there is no monetary limit. We have cases who have run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars because of the disability and the services that they need. We have others, for instance, the example that we have with Anna. Her services wasn't even over $1,000, and we were able to help her with the job. So I guess that's the long way of saying there is no monetary limit, but we do have to watch to make sure that we get the most cost-effective services. Another question, sorry, by Cody. Does DOR services referrals incur any financial cost to its clients? I've been working for DOR for about 9 years now. I worked out at the Oroville office as a counselor and did some counseling here in Woodland as well. And during that time, no financial cost to his clients. I've never had one client who we said, hey, we helped you with this training, you didn't follow through, you owe us this. No. There are some cases in which we had let people loan certain computers, maybe laptops while they're going to school. When they're done with their training, when they're done and found a job and we closed their case, at that point we requested that computer back. Our IT department would, delete any needed things that needed to be deleted, and then we would loan that computer to the next person. And that's the only time where we've actually requested things back, but it was with the understanding that, hey, this computer is only loaned to you at this time. You'll need to give it back once you're done with your training and once you've completed once you've actually got a job. I hope that answers your question, Cody. I can't stress this enough. Please give me a call, send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to answer any more specific questions that anybody may have. And again, to stress this one more time, each office is a little bit different. So what we do in Woodland or Sacramento may differ from what we do even in the Bay Area or Fairfield. And this is, I'm talking about, of course, Northern California and Southern California, we have offices as well. So just keep that in mind. Last thing I want people to do is to go into a local DOR office and say, well, Jose said that they would do it in Woodland, and because they're just going to say, well, that's Woodland. So, but just keep in mind, now that I said that if I have a client who lives in Stockton and they go to the Stockton office and maybe they're not getting the services they want, or maybe it's not happening in a timely manner, or whatever it is, they can always give me a call, and maybe we can open up their case in Woodland.